Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for tuning into the channel again, much appreciated. And time for today's tip, which is fishing one of my favorite type of structures, and that's beaver dams. And man, I can't tell you guys how many good ones I've caught out of beaver dams. They have just been, they're probably the most high percentage structure that you can have for bass fishing as far as the number of beaver dams that you fish versus the number of bass that you catch. And today I wanted to give you guys a few tips on fishing beaver dams, sort of what to look for, sort of how to approach them a little bit, and hopefully you can catch a few more fish. So here we go. Okay, here's really a nice beaver dam. This thing is like super well constructed. I am really impressed with beavers. You know, beavers, you know, are just, they're so cool. I just love to watch them. You know, love to watch them construct stuff. They're just a fascinating creature. And this is an awesome dam, right, or an awesome hut right here. You know, there are several different entrances to this hut. You know, they basically get underneath there, they come up from the water, live inside, raise their young, and you know, it's just home. But the key on beaver dams, what you want to look for, is a lot of it is pretty obvious, but there is some key things on it. First of all, you have to analyze how deep the water is around the beaver hut. Most of the time, you know, obviously your deeper water is going to be right out in front of it, but that's not necessarily, you know, where the bass are going to be. The key on a beaver dam is you have to look for where the complex structure. Like in this particular beaver dam right here, if you can see, looking all around right here, that is going to be the sweet spot right there. That little spot right there is where the majority of the complexity comes in on this beaver dam. So that's going to be a real high percentage area. My first cast into this thing is not going to be there though. What you want to do when you approach a beaver dam is you want to get back from it and start casting and fishing, you know, anywhere between 10 feet in front of it all the way to it, because a lot of times, depending upon the angle of the dam, how deep the water is, you know, you're going to have different types of wood and sticks and everything extending way out from here. So my first couple casts is usually I'm pitching some type of jig or soft plastics on the outside perimeter of these things, because I don't want to go right in there to get hung up right off the bat. So I'm trying to pick up some fish on the outside perimeter. And the key on these things, guys, is you've got to fish extremely slow. You've got to fish extremely methodical, because there's so much cover down there that you can't see. Once I pick around the outside edge there, that's when I go inside the target, you know, the tight spot, and that's when I'll go like into the most complex part of that particular area right there. But this is like a super nice beaver hut. First of all, you know, when you're talking about, you know, approaching beaver huts and fishing like that, you can't get picky, because it's not like you can pattern a beaver hut like you can a boat dock or something. So anytime I see one, I hit it. I don't like to analyze how deep the water is or how the thing's constructed. Some beaver huts are better than others. Some are full constructed huts like you see right there, and some are partial. Some tend to be, you know, more under the water. A lot of it just depends on, you know, what the beavers have to work with, you know, what type of wood they have to work with. So every one of them is going to be different. But the thing that maintains the same on all of them is, since you're dealing with an isolated piece of structure that obviously there's a lot of activity around this, you have to be extremely quiet and extremely stealthy when you approach this, because you can't goof up. You know, you can't get hung up, you can't make bad casts. You know, you got to maximize your opportunity, because you're only going to get, you know, 5 or 6 key casts on there. So that's the big part of it. What I like to do in these beaver huts is I like to go in as slow as I possibly can. I turn my trolling motor way down, you know, set my power poles down, you know, if the water's shallow enough to do that, and almost just try to like drift into it. I don't even like to use the trolling motor if I don't have to. I'll make my, like I said, multiple presentations on the outside, then move on the inside. Key lures on beaver dams, I prefer soft plastics, any type of a soft plastic creature bait, jigs, that type of stuff. It seems like most of the bass I catch around beaver huts are on, like, my favorite's like a Zoom, you know, Z-hog, something like that, or, you know, a brush hog, something like that, on a pretty light sinker. You know, most of the time you're dealing with like 3 to 5 foot of water around this cover, and I don't like to use a heavy sinker. Heavy sinker will get hung up easier, so I usually like to go, you know, 3/16 or so, pretty light, no more than a quarter when I'm flipping that type of stuff. And then sometimes, you know, after I pitch and flip in there, I may follow it up with something like a fluke, shallow running crankbait, possibly a spinner bait, something like that. But you're gonna have to make multiple casts. I mean, very seldom do you catch them right off the bat, like the first couple pitches in there. So, you know, I may make 50 casts to one dam, you know, if I, you know, feel there's a fish in there. And a lot of times, you know, if you're in a tournament or something, don't even practice them. I mean, just hit one if you see it. You know, don't let those fish see your bait. Don't let them get conditioned to it. You don't have to pull up there and catch one out of it to fish it, because it doesn't take 2 minutes to go over there, roll in there and hit it. So, you know, that's a pretty, you know, good piece of info there. Another thing about it is most of the time they're good all year. I catch fish off beaver dams literally 12 months out of the year. Fish live on them all the time. You know, like I said, a lot of times, you know, you got deep water nearby, you got plenty cover. It's just a good place for bass. If I had one particular time that I probably like to fish in more than anything, it's going to be during the summer. For whatever reason, when that water temperature gets hot, you know, there's always usually a good one or two around a beaver hut in the middle of the summer like that. So anyway, that's just, I wanted to do a quick tip on that. I just saw that beaver hut there. It just looked like too good to pass by. A lot of the stuff that I probably told you is probably obvious here, but you may or may not have seen it like that. But basically, you know, just to reiterate, never pass them up. You know, be stealthy, be quiet, don't slop through it. You know, really focus on fishing the outside perimeter first. Fish extremely thorough on that outside perimeter before you go inside, and stay with the lighter colored, lighter weight sinkers, and that will add up to a few more fish in there. Another thing with its timing, I mean, most guys, if they see one, they're gonna hit it. So a lot of times it's just a matter of getting there at the right time when the shade's hitting it just right, and there's a fish moved up on it. So anyway, that's today's tip, guys. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and we'll be back soon with another one. See you.